Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to react to this video. It's a woman speaking about growing up with conservative parents, and she believes that if she didn't have conservative parents, she may have been taken in by a lot of the indoctrination that goes on today, especially in schools, on social media, where kids are basically made to question their gender. Can you imagine growing up as a tomboy in this day and age? Many of us were tomboys when we were younger, and can't imagine being told that we may be in the wrong body or we may be non-binary. It's everywhere now on TikTok, and the social contagion factor that we're seeing before our very eyes cannot be denied.
Have you noticed the rise in transgenders in the celebrity world? Well, if you haven't, we're going to find out together. So here's a list of celebrities whose kids are transgender. And we're going to start with Jamie Lee Curtis, Elon Musk, Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park, Heather Dubrow from Real Housewives, Marlon Wayans, Charlize Theron, Adele, Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale, Megan Fox and all three boys, non-binary and trans, Rosie O'Donnell, Jennifer Lopez, and Busy Phillips, Naomi Watts, Gabrielle Union's stepson, Dwayne Wade's son, Cher, Cynthia Nixon, Dean McDermott, Sojourner Weaver, here is Cynthia, Annette and Warren Beatty. It's a trend. I'm telling you, it's going to be put in your kid's face one way or the other. Turn the TV off, cut the internet off. This is what's trending.
So let's take a look.
I would have been transgender if it wasn't for my parents raising me with conservative morals and values. Let me explain. When I was a little kid, 5, 6, 7, I was a total tomboy. I loved playing with the boys. I thought I was a boy and I wanted to be a boy. I would tell my parents all the time that I wish I was a boy. I would cry and be like, I wish I was a boy because I just belong with like playing with the boys so much because I was a tomboy and I liked playing in sports and I was a little kid. It's just.
Wow. So, I mean, I grew up a tomboy as well, but I never went to my parents and said, I wish I was a boy. I did play with boys and I was involved in sports. Obviously girls are involved in sports too, but you know, I dressed a certain way and I never actually went to my parents and said, I think I'm a boy. She's saying that she went to her parents and said she wished she was a boy. Now today, can you imagine? I've heard of parents saying that they knew that their boy, actual boy, was a girl because he liked pink. Or their boy picked up a doll one day.
Daughter is 10 years old. She started letting us know that she was transgender really before she could even speak. She would do things like wear her sister's clothes, pretend that towels were her long hair.
So James approached us in a casual way by dropping hints from the time he was 7 until he was 8. He would say things like, I'm half boy, half girl, half gorilla. And I would think, you're not good at math like your mom.
You only had to walk into Jazz's bedroom, as I did.
Oh, how pretty.
To know this was not a passing fad. It was filled with girly things, dresses and dolls.
Deciding that their kid is born in the wrong body due to stereotypes, which is something that I thought, you know, the progressives wanted to get away from. But she's saying that she actually went to her parents and said she wished she was a boy. Now today, the parents today would take steps and begin transitioning their child. Charlize Theron said that her son, one of her sons, I believe both of them, are being dressed as girls now. But she has spoken about transitioning from the age of 3. Who knows? Maybe the kid came up to her and said, I wish I was a girl, or I wish I was Spider-Man. We're talking about kids here. Kids have imaginations and we encourage them to use their imaginations, but we don't go around and therefore decide that our kid is born in the wrong body or there's something wrong with their beautiful, perfect child.
When you're a little kid, you say so many things that just don't make sense. But thank goodness for my parents being actual adults and parents knowing I was only 5, 6, 7 years old. And they said, yeah, you can go play with the boys, but you're not a boy. And guess what? I grew up and shocker, I'm not. If I was born during this time of age, I would 100% be a transgender kid. My body parts would have literally been mutilated because parents actually take what their kids have to say seriously.
It sounds extreme, but it's the truth. And she's saying in no uncertain terms she believes she would have been labelled transgender if she had parents that thought a certain way. And you listen to these parents, that's all it takes. I saw the signs at such and such age. She likes playing with trucks. What? Girls like playing with trucks? Girls like hanging out with their brothers, their dads. I watched sports with my dad. He didn't have any sons. So yeah, I was basically, hang out with him and watch sports with him and everything. And I enjoyed it. But in this situation, she is saying that her parents said to her, that's great that you love to do all those things, but you're a girl. What is so wrong in saying that to a child? Now they're making it sound like parents who say that are bigots, and they look upon those parents suspiciously. The kid goes to school and the teacher validates this kid's idea of being in the wrong body. The teacher starts allowing the kid to entertain having a different name and doesn't even tell the parents. That's where we're at today. It's very, very scary. She sounds certain in saying that, I would have been transgender, because there's a lot of evidence that points to that. The social contagion factor and parents who take everything their kid says at face value. So just because your kid says, I wish I was a girl or I wish I was a boy, you go to a doctor, a woke doctor, and the doctor validates it before you know it. We're talking about medication, chemical castration. Jazz Jennings was 17 and had surgery, bottom surgery. So don't tell me that this isn't happening to kids, because it is. Thankfully, there's changes that have been made now where these procedures are being banned. Hospitals that engage in these procedures are losing their federal funding. That is good news. And the tide is certainly shifting, it's turning. But at the height of all of that, all it took was a kid to entertain, being the opposite sex. I think a lot of kids do that. They imagine, what if I was a boy? What if I was a girl? What if I was Superman or Supergirl? There's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't mean there's something wrong with the child. And the child now needs to be put on medication. And that's why we have detransitioners. Kids who simply needed a bit of guidance. Now, it sounds like she had a lovely childhood. But if you couple that with kids who have been through abuse, kids who have been through, some sort of trauma, it just compacts the whole thing. It heightens everything. Instead of treating the trauma, helping them cope with what they have been through and help them overcome it, they're presented with this idea that they can change their gender. And that is presented as a solution when all they needed was probably someone to talk to. We got to the point where we called counselling conversion therapy. They demonized counselling and the alternatives to puberty blockers and operations and procedures.
Parents actually take what their kids have to say seriously, and they are mutilating their child's private parts. It is honestly devastating, and I am so grateful I was born with conservative morals and values. That's the difference between conservative morals and values versus liberal morals and values. Honestly, child mutilation should be illegal. You can do whatever you want when you're an adult. I don't care. If you want to do that when you're 18, awesome. But to be a child, that should be illegal.
So it's really sick what's going on today, and it really does come down to the parents. It comes from somewhere. Obviously, there are other influences in the child's life, but when a kid is 5 or 6, you cannot tell me that it doesn't come from the parents or a relative, somebody who is close to the child, in close proximity to the child. And then you hear about, in these liberal circles, how having a trans kid is like winning the lottery to them.
I think people underestimate to what extent privileged, especially white women, are willing to sacrifice their children for the altar of status. For them, having a trans kid is like winning the lottery, right? And you laugh, but it's really the case. It's very disturbing. They're the only ones bringing their kids to drag shows because for these affluent white female liberals, awfuls, a man in makeup is like the second coming. And they're showing dad or their husband or whoever how enlightened they are because this is what corporate media tells them. So they can't wait to bring their kids and show how with the program they are. So they are a menace. And this, in my opinion, is Munchausen's by proxy. They're torturing their kids for the sake of status and accolades.
I am here today as the mother of a proud trans man. I am here today as the aunt of a proud trans man. My best friend's kid is trans, and my kid's best friend is trans.
And then a child goes down a route where they permanently alter their bodies, and they don't know whether the kid's going to turn around at the age of 30 and regret it. They're still gathering the data about the long-term implications of having such procedures, the long-term implications of medications. And all they're doing is making lifelong patients. The kid doesn't understand how it's going to affect their bone density, messing with their hormones. The kid doesn't understand how it can affect their brain, being on this medication long-term. They've somehow convinced parents that it's somehow abusive to tell your girl, no, you're not a boy. Tell your boy, no, you're not a girl. And it's okay to acknowledge that kids grow out of these things. Remember when they said that was bigotry to say that? There's even been studies that have supported this, that kids grow out of it. Just like when a girl is a tomboy, usually she grows out of it. And if she doesn't, that's okay. She's still a woman. She's not a man and will never be a man.
Thank goodness for my parents being actual adults and parents knowing I was only 5, 6, 7 years old. And they said, yeah, you can go play with the boys, but you're not a boy. And guess what? I grew up and shocker, I'm not.
Ultimately, it comes down to the parents. All they have to do is encourage their kid to accept themselves for who they are. That's it. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and God willing, I will see you in the next video.